Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Cooperative Program stage. My name is Ed Herrelko, Vice President of Marketing and Communications for the International Mission Board. And this is the first of 3 sessions we have, and we're excited to tell you about our efforts to mobilize our ethnic congregations. So with me today, I've got Ezra Bae, our IMB Asian Church Mobilization Strategist, Quintell Hill, IMB's African American Church Mobilization Strategist, and Annel Robyana, IMB's Hispanic Church Mobilization Strategist. I'm really excited for us to have this time together this afternoon to talk about what we're doing to mobilize our ethnic congregations to partner with the IMB. As we all know, our ethnic churches are a vital part of our great pursuit to reach the unreached people around the world. And I know each of you are working hard to make those important connections. It's also good for us to report to our Southern Baptist brothers and sisters that their cooperative program giving does a whole lot more than just paying for the lights to be kept on in a building. It pays for the missions work we do. It helps us to mobilize more and more people to go out with the gospel of Jesus Christ and to share that. So we are grateful for the financial support that comes from the cooperative program. Now, Quintell, you're the first question. Can you tell us about the IMB's partnership with African American churches, what you're finding, and what your vision for future growth in this area is?
Yeah, excited about that question. There are a little bit under 4,000 Southern Baptist churches, African American churches, that are a part of the International Mission Board under my umbrella as a mobilization strategist. And, you know, I want them to really get this passion. Like Carl F. Henry, he said the gospel is only good news if it gets there in time. And so I think there needs to be a sense of urgency about the mission, about the importance of people spending a Christless eternity without him. And so I think bringing more awareness to the world's greatest problem, lostness. And so I really want them to have this white hot passion for the nations. Really, it's just to know that we could go, and so more of us can be a part of it.
So in your role, can you tell us about what it looks like to go out and actually talk to these churches and to get them excited? And is there anything in particular that you try to share with them?
Yeah, definitely. I would say really the explanation of what the CP is. What are we cooperating to do, right? And so that's one thing that I try to go out and explain, and how they can be a part of it, how they are a vital part of being a part of this, getting the gospel to the ends of the earth. And so I even try to mention like George Lyle being the first missionary to go. And so that really does resonate with a lot of African Americans, because he was an African American brother that put his yes on the table. And so I really want to bring awareness to not necessarily skin, but the fact that the world is in sin. And God wants to use us all to do something about the world's greatest problem.
Amen. Now, Ezra, this question's for you. As you work to mobilize our Asian Southern Baptist churches, you really have a massive challenge because you have to connect with churches that literally speak dozens of languages. Tell us about the Asian Baptist churches in the SBC and what you're doing to mobilize them and encourage them to send.
Right. Yeah, there are more than 2,100 Asian Southern Baptist Church among SBC. These Asian churches come from 27 different countries, and they are worshiping in 40 different languages every single Sunday. So all those churches are currently sending 297 Asian American missionaries through IMB right now. Therefore, it is absolutely important Asian Baptist Church to participate in CP and LMCO. So currently, about half of the Asian churches participate in CP, and about half of Asian churches participating in CP participating the LMCO right now. Yes. So, yeah, Asian churches are growing right now. So God is doing among wonderful things among Asian Southern Baptist Church right now. So, yeah.
And as you think of your audience and so many different people groups and languages, we can use our IMB brothers and sisters or our SBC brothers and sisters all over the globe.
Yes.
It's not simply about getting our Asian brothers and sisters to
Yes.
other Asian countries,
Yes,
right?
right, yes. So that's why all the Asian Southern Baptist Church is doing their best to send more missionaries to everywhere in the world. So, yeah.
Thank you. Annel, you have a massive task as you work with over 3,000 Hispanic congregations across the SBC to mobilize their churches and their pastors and get their people to catch a vision for going to the nations with the gospel. Now, you personally grew up exposed to missions and evangelism through your parents who were church planters in Venezuela, is that correct? And
Yes.
served the local church there.
That is correct.
So tell us a little bit about that, and then tell us some of the challenges that you find in mobilizing our Hispanic congregations.
Well, first of all, I was blessed to grow in a church planting setting. My parents, from a very young age, would take me to this church plants where one person would show up, and I would see God's work, God's sovereign work, to grow a church out of that one person or two people, and that really impacted my life. Some of the challenges that the Hispanic churches face in America are also great opportunities. The challenge is that the Hispanic church have to face the fact that there are various Hispanic churches, Hispanic cultures working within the same church, and that happens every Sunday. With the challenge comes the opportunity to experience different cultures at once every single week, which means they're ready to go. They're ready to go overseas and be flexible with all different cultures. So they're ready to conquer the nations because of the experience they have here facing different cultures every day of their lives.
Now, Quintell, you've been in your role just a couple of months now. You've known the IMB longer than that. For you, what has, I'm going to throw kind of a wild card question at you. What has been something that's really stood out to you about the work you're doing now and about the organization in these few months that you're just excited to take to these congregations you serve?
That the heart of the IMB is for all people to go. It doesn't matter what color you are, we need people across the sea. And so we need to get to the places that are unreached. I'm excited to be able to see even people like we see just had ascending service today. We see Asa and Vanessa go, right? Put their yes on the table and just encourage pastors that there are more Asa and Vanessas that are willing to go. And so just to encourage these pastors to continue to disciple towards the nations, to be a sending church. And so really, really excited about that, to see more African Americans on that stage to be sent out. That's what I'm excited about. I want to see more of them. I mean, I think this year is that couple. I want to see 5 a year, man. I want to see people saying yes to the nations.
So to all three of you, one of the things I know that people struggle with is they wonder, could God use me as a missionary? A lot of times there's this thought that you have to be a pastor,
yes,
or you have to have had specific training. What do you find? So this question is for each of you to kind of chime in on. What do you find is a really good way of explaining to the people you work with that, yes, it doesn't matter what you've done, or it doesn't matter what your career's been, you can go and you can share the gospel?
I just got done talking with a pastor in this direction, and I was talking to him about, he's a pharmacist. He's a pastor and he's a pharmacist. And I told him, you probably have better access being a pharmacist to get over there. And so I think that people need to know that God can use whatever gift they have to just put their yes on the table, and the Lord will equip them to be able to do what they need to do. And they don't have to know Greek. They don't have to have a PhD in missiology to be able to go overseas. They just have to say yes to the Lord, and we'll get them there, in a sense.
Annel, have you faced this challenge of people that want to go, but they just go, really, could I go?
Absolutely, and I share my own story, and I asked myself, how can God use a musician in the mission field? And when I first went to Senegal, the immediate connection that I had with the Senegalese wasn't the language, but it was music. So we'll learn each other's songs, and through those songs we were able to preach the gospel. So that's my story, that's my example, and I encourage others that have different talents and gifts, such as graphic design, photography, and many others, that God can use those talents in the mission field for His glory and to extend His kingdom.
Yeah, so I was called when I was 15 years old in Seoul, Korea. At that time, God called me as a missionary, but 35 years later, I obeyed God's call and go to the mission field as a missionary. So yeah, so God calls everyone, so we can obey whenever He calls. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. You say God will use anything, any gift you have. So Annel was my roommate in college, and so he came over to America from Venezuela with his guitar in hand. Now he's raising up others to go to use their guitar at the ends of the earth, man. It's beautiful to see how the Lord works. And so, yeah.
That really is, and I think that's one of the best things we can continue to do as we mobilize, period, which is understanding that God can use all of these people, and sometimes their specific skill set is actually going to be, like you said, it's advantageous. It opens up a door. It gets them access in certain places. And the IMB hasn't always been good historically about explaining that we can take you from where you are, and no matter what, you can be someone that goes out and proclaims the gospel and takes the gospel to the lost. So I really appreciate the efforts that each of you are putting in. This is a growing area. As we've seen, our ethnic diversity is growing within the SBC, and we want to serve those brothers and sisters exceedingly well. So as we close today, I really hope that as people listen to this and they think about how God might be calling them or choosing to use skills that they didn't think they could use, there is a place. We are facing a world where lostness is at its absolute greatest number that it's ever been historically. There are more lost people on the planet today than there have ever been in the history of humanity. And what that means is we need more churches, we need more partners, we need more people doing this work of mobilization to call out the called so that they will go and serve. And again, we are so grateful to our Southern Baptist brothers and sisters. We're grateful for their faithfulness to the cooperative program. It's something that to the International Mission Board, again, it's more than just keeping the lights on or paying for things here in the U.S. At the IMB, we actually send a large portion of our cooperative program funds overseas directly to fund gospel work over there. So we are exceedingly grateful and thankful for our SBC partners in this. Thank you and God bless.